I just want to thank you all for getting ARC Arcade Racing up to 1,000 subscribers. It means a lot to me, and to show you just how much, I thought I'd do a bit more of a personal video this time around. Here's ARC's personal top 10 arcade races. This isn't going to be the same as your top 10, unless it is, but let me know down in the comments what your top 10 is. Let's get on with it.
Over REV.
3, 2, 1, start!
Over REV came in as a shock number 10 for me. I've played this joint Jaleco and SEGA venture on and off over the years. I've never come across it in the wilds, but thanks to the Model 2 emulator, I found myself really getting into Over REV, to the point where I'm just getting that urge to jump in on a regular basis. There's depth here, lots of intricacies to master, and just overall good vibes that have made me put Over REV in at my number 10. There's a little bit of jank here, like some questionable collision detection and some glitchy AI driver pathing, but none of that affects my enjoyment of the game. With the rest of the package being so strong, I found that I personally embraced those quirks as part of Over REV's personality and just gave into it fully. I love the gamifying of the 4 real-world Japanese courses. There's some masterful work done here by Jaleco, and each track plays superb. If you didn't know any better, you'd think they were original creations because they are expertly crafted, finely tuned, and are a lot of fun to drive. Each of the 7 cars handles different, but all are gratifying to master, and they drift like you wouldn't believe. The level of control you have over your drifts in Over REV feels bang on. And drifting in this game is just fun, plain and simple. If you want some sort of comparison, then I guess it's essentially Ridge Racer, but off the rails. I've reviewed Over REV on the channel before, so I've put a link down below for you to check out if you feel so inclined. Over REV keeps me coming back again and again, and you do well to check it out for yourself if you haven't already.
OutRun 2019.
Another game I've covered before. It was my number 1 pick for best Mega Drive and Genesis races. Link to the video down below. OutRun 2019 is among the most impressive raster races on the Mega Drive. Subdued colour choices do dull some of the initial visual punch, but it's not too long before you notice the incredible work done here. The sense of speed is impressive, the branching paths and road over road effects are clever feats of programming, and the background details and sprite work, in my eyes, really shine. But it's the gameplay that keeps me digging this one out. Control is sublime, and using the 2-speed manual transmission is the way to go here. Managing the boost gauge, which charges automatically, provides an extra layer of depth. You really need to keep an eye on that boost. Fail to do so and it could send you careening off one of the many rail-less overhead roads. Each of the 30 branching routes are fun to race, with a variety of hazards and tricky sections that only repeat play will help you with. There's a lot here, and getting every route committed to memory will take some time. OutRun 2019 is my favourite Sega Mega Drive racer, and utterly earns its number 9 placing here.
Metropolis Street Racer.
Metropolis Street Racer on the Sega Dreamcast by the late and great Bizarre Creations is one of those games for the Dreamcast that I return to just for the vibes. The racing and control is fantastic here, and whilst it may lean more into sim-cade territory, it's still approachable for the arcade racing fan. Visually, Metropolis Street Racer still looks good to me. It always had brightness issues that made the game look darker than almost any other on the Dreamcast, but this can be easily remedied these days with a few game profile tweaks on a modern PC. I remember being transported to each of the faithfully recreated cities in the game. I've never been to any of them, but I feel like this is the next best thing. You make your way through chapters in Metropolis Street Racer, with each rewarding you with a car upon completion. To add a car to your garage for use, you need to complete a time trial challenge. These and all of the challenges in the chapters can get seriously tough. From regular races to one-on-one events and timed laps, there's a lot of variety within each chapter to stop things from getting stale. All the more with the Kudos system that allows you to wager the points you've accrued for winning and driving with style for more points. Bet wrong and you'll lose points, which can prevent you from moving to subsequent chapters. Play a joker and double your points if you dare. What sets this apart from the rest, however, is the audio. Cars sound great, but unfortunately I tend to turn them down in favour of the sing-along soundtrack. The original songs written for the game by Richard Jacques masquerading as radio hits are an absolute knockout, with each city featuring some legit sounding radio stations to drive around to. I still listen to the soundtrack on a weekly basis outside of the game, and personally it means a lot to me. All female vocals are provided by TJ Davis of Sonic R fame, a woman whose voice has punctuated some of the most pivotal moments of my life. Metropolis Street Racer was the basis for Xbox and Bizarre Creations' Project Gotham series, but all told, I still prefer this Dreamcast original. It's got the vibes, is my favourite racer on the Dreamcast, and a worthy number 8.
So don't wait till tomorrow comes, 'cause I'll be long gone. Don't wait for the rain to fall. Oh no. Don't hold out for my return.
San Francisco Rush 2049.
Here's a 2-for-1 for you, since I'll be looking at 2 different versions of the game here. The modern source port of the arcade version, playable on modern PCs, and the Sega Dreamcast version. If you're after a racing experience, go with the source port of the arcade version. All of the home ports have a strange issue in the circuit racing mode that leads to jitter every time you steer left or right. So for my racing fix, I go for the relatively new source port of the original arcade game. I did grow up with the Dreamcast version, however, which received some ridiculously cool additions that have had me returning to it for decades. Rush 2049's best additions were always the practice mode, which let you explore each map at your leisure, finding hidden coins along the way, and the glorious stunt mode. We can't forget the addition of wings to the cars, which complements both modes perfectly. Coin hunting in practice mode is still brilliant fun. and will lead you to discover all the cool alternate areas and shortcuts that were added to the maps over the arcade version. Stunt mode though, what a beast. Tackle one of 4 arenas to rack up scores, launch off a ramp, send your car into a spin and see just how robust this physics model is, even today. So cheers to my number 7. Rush 2049 has never been out of rotation in my life. I adore this game in all its forms and I'm grateful that it exists.
Ridge Racer 2/Ridge Racers.
3, 2, 1, go! A smooth start, not bad. 3 laps to go.
The original Ridge Racer, along with Wipeout Pure, were the killer apps for the PSP, at least for myself. I imported a Japanese unit and was not disappointed. The follow-up, Ridge Racers, or depending on your region, Ridge Racer 2, was not really a sequel, but a 2.0 version of the first PSP game with more of everything. And boy, do I start up a new save and dive in again to this one often.
That feels good!
Many Ridge Racer games preceded this one, and some afterward, but Ridge Racers is the purest form of the newer style games. Ridge Racer 6 and 7 may have more content and technically more in-depth single-player modes, but I'd still pick the PSP game any day of the week. For starters, I love the visual style here. This was a thing of beauty way back at launch, and none of the 60 FPS glory has diminished in any way over the years. Every track here, from the returning ones to the original courses created for the game, are gorgeous. Subdued colours make way for serious pops of colour and lighting in a way that really has no equal on the PSP. The slow but steady rise to the higher speed classes in the game that you'll earn through the World Tour mode is one of arcade racing's greatest gaming pleasures. This is where the boost system was introduced too, and again, the 3-level boost gauge that fills by drifting well is nice and basic and easy to grasp. Ridge Racers features my favourite soundtrack of all the games, with classics returning from previous entries mixed with a bunch of tracks created just for this one. If you haven't noticed by now, a good soundtrack is important to me when it comes to a good arcade racing experience. It gets the blood pumping and drives you to always do better.
Yeah! It's a new record! 2 laps to go.
This evergreen racer has never gone out of style. This is peak Namco racing, an all-time classic to boot and a must-play for those of you out there who have never sampled its wares. I love number 6 dearly.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Cyber Speedway / Grand Chaser.
I guarantee you that Cyber Speedway, or by the original Japanese title Grand Chaser, will not appear on any other top 10 list. It's an early Saturn game that is super rough around the edges, clearly unfinished, has some shocking performance with actual slowdown that can literally get in the way of the gameplay. I'm under no pretense that nostalgia has no part to play in making this my number 5 pick. It does, it plays a big part in helping me overlook the technical shortcomings that plague the game. Despite those issues, Cyber Speedway speaks to me in every other way.
Lap 2. Warning.
I pull this one out super regularly, just to blast through the ridiculously brief story mode. It's nothing fancy, but there's plenty of cool 90s art to admire here, and I do like the addition of your crew chief giving you pointers on how to kit out your ship best for each race. I have also spent a lot of time in time trial mode to discover the hidden routes and shortcuts, but now just to cruise each track to the amazing soundtrack, which I'll touch on soon enough. Performance and warping aside, I love the aesthetics on display here. The texture work is quite excellent, and I can't go past all those insane colours and chunky satin quads. The ship designs are good too. It's just a shame that you are limited to one ship only in the story mode. An obvious sign of the protracted development, the other ships are able to be used in time trial, 1 vs com and split screen multiplayer races. Cyber Speedway has some decent gameplay, although if you decide to play with D-pad controls, know that the ships are quite slow to respond. Conversely, play with a legit Saturn 3D controller and the controls are super twitchy. This game was made for the Sega Saturn arcade racer wheel in mind, and sensitivity is tuned to that. I've also heard that it plays well with the mission stick, but I've not tried this method personally. This was one game I rented week after week, and then when the Saturn died and my local Blockbuster was offloading all of their ex-rental games, I was able to get that very copy, and it sat in my Saturn for a long time, along with my Discman, because the soundtrack is among my favourite soundtracks of all time. No other game sounds quite like it. It's a synth explosion of catchy melodies and awesome Japanese 90s vibes that I still listen to regularly. This only goes for the PAL and Japanese releases. They swapped out the soundtrack for the US release, and I'm not a fan.
Lap 3.
I can almost say for certain that if you didn't grow up with it, then Cyber Speedway is likely not going to be for you. It's very much a you had to be there thing, which makes me happy that I did grow up with it. I love showing it off any chance I get, and it sits comfortably here as my nostalgia pick at number 5.
Wipeout.
3, 2, 1, go!
The Wipeout series is more than just the games to me. It introduced me to whole new subgenres of music, not to mention artists of the UK electronic music scene, and shaped my tastes in many other ways besides. My Wipeout path was not the traditional path most have taken. I grew up with the Saturn ports of Wipeout and 2097 at home, and could only ever fleetingly play the original PlayStation games at friends' houses. Even then, I knew I was not getting the as-intended Wipeout experience, but I loved it all the same, along with the collaborative Cold Storage, Rob Lord and Mark Bandola soundtrack. I was happy to have Wipeout at all. And whilst I do feel that Wipeout 2097 and Wipeout 3 Special Edition were better games all up, I find myself returning to the original the most, especially now that there's a fantastic source port, Wipeout Phantom Edition. The course design in the original Wipeout was iconic out of the gate, and each and every track is lovingly crafted. I even love the flawed Silverstream track, mostly for the gorgeous colours and alternate routes, of which there is only one viable path through if you actually want to win. When it comes to gameplay, Wipeout can be hard to go back to in its original forms, So it's a good thing that Phantom Edition here allows for 2097 style collision physics, as well as ballistic NG style collision, which is pretty much the most forgiving way you can play today. The air brake system introduced here is what makes Wipeout, and it's all about the control of your ships. Having to tame these courses requires a deft hand, not only managing the air brakes on those sharp turns, but also pitching up and down on inclines and declines. It's this depth that gives the earlier Wipeout games their longevity. Phantom Edition lets you import your own music too, so I have the Saturn music in there, the PlayStation tracks, and all of the music from the official music CD. If you haven't played Phantom Edition here, you really should. It's the easiest any of the earlier Wipeout games has ever been to get into. Wipeout being at number 4 really represents the whole series, and though this first game has my heart, the subsequent games in the trilogy would be just as deserving here.
Daytona, USA.
Gentlemen, start your engines. And they're underway.
Daytona USA in the arcade blew my mind as a kid. I thought that games would never ever look better than this. Well, graphics have improved, but how amazing does Daytona USA still look? Art and design count for a lot, and the timeless look of Daytona not only stands the test of time, but is forever linked with the Model 2 board aesthetic. It took us a long time to receive an arcade-perfect port. The original Saturn game was famously rushed, but despite all the graphical downgrades, it still plays a good game of Daytona, and is the only version to feature the amazing arranged soundtrack. We could go through the disappointments of Daytona Circuit and Championship Circuit editions, or the middling Dreamcast game, but let's just stick to the positives. We were lucky enough to have Daytona USA officially released on the Xbox 360 and PS3 in this ultimate form, and I cherish the fact that I have it on my hard drive every single day. If you missed out, don't fret, because the game emulates nigh on perfectly on PC. Here's some footage using the Xbox 360 emulator Xenia. You'd be hard pressed to spot the difference, and likely wouldn't know this was emulation had it not been pointed out. Daytona USA set the whole arcade racing template for me. It's got the holy trinity: awesome visuals, killer gameplay, and iconic music and sound. Can you believe that there was a time where people criticised Daytona for its music? I'm glad those dark days are gone. This still plays as good as the day it came out, and for me will forever be the racer that defined Sega in the arcades. It's not their only one, and it's not even my favourite, but number 3 here is, in my books, the most important.
OutRun 2006 Coast to Coast.
Get ready.
I really don't want to know how much time I've spent with OutRun 2006 Coast to Coast over the years. It's one of my go-to races when I'm feeling that itch. You can play it for as little or as long as you want and always walk away feeling satisfied with a play session. I personally really would have loved to include the original OutRun on this list, and it'd definitely appear in my top 20, but OutRun 2, then 2006 Coast to Coast betters it in every way. These OutRun. Everything that I adore about the original is here, even the classic arcade music. But there's just so much more to this package. OutRun mode, heart attack mode, time trials, it's all here. It's kind of crazy to think about how much replayability these 30 short courses have proven to have over the years. I've got my favourite routes down, and I'm sure you've got yours too. The OutRun vibes here are just perfect and will whisk you away to a universe that you'd not knock back living in yourself. It's a crime that this game isn't currently available for purchase. The only way to play is to pay exorbitant amounts of money for physical releases on a ridiculous second-hand market or find a digital copy online. I purchased OutRun 2 and Coast to Coast on the original Xbox, and then grabbed the 360 release of OutRun Online Arcade, but I wasn't savvy enough to pick up Coast to Coast when it was on Steam all those years ago. Luckily, it can be found on archive.org and is now perfectly playable on PC thanks to fan efforts like OutRun 2006 tweaks. Seriously, this is right up there with the arcade version now and can be enhanced with high-res textures for the UI, like you're seeing here. I've even given it a bit of a saturation boost here on my ROG Ally X, just to bring the colours up to that next level, since the original PC version lacks a bit of punch in that regard. All up, it really is now on par with the arcade version of OutRun 2 SP SDX now, with only small differences between them that really don't add up to all that much. Classy, timeless, and endless fun. OutRun 2006 Coast to Coast is a game for the ages, and one you really do have to experience for yourself. It's my second favourite arcade racer, and it never leaves my hard drive.
Sega Rally Championship Sega Saturn.
Three, two, one, go! Easy right. Easy left. Easy right.
Sega Rally was a game I knew I just had to have when I heard it was coming to the Saturn. I liked the arcade game, but playing the Forest demo on that bootleg sampler disc all those years ago showed me that this was going to be something special. Now some 28 years later, don't quote me on that, I'm bad at math, who would have ever thought that 3 cars and 4 courses provide so much longevity? Sega Rally Saturn isn't just my favourite arcade racer of all time, it's my favourite game of all time. Where do you even start with this one? Sega Rally is one of those paradigm-shifting games. It captured the most important thing, the drift. Drifting had never felt so good, and I'd argue has never felt as good since. Tarmac feels as smooth as, but as soon as you hit the dirt you can literally feel the loss of traction, and the game comes into its own. And as great as the original Model 2 version is, I feel like the rebuild it got for the Sega Saturn here is better. We lost half the frames and resolution, but none of that matters at all. The game still looks gorgeous. It still plays amazing and arguably even better. You can just feel the love poured into the Saturn port. Great drifting would be nothing without the track design to back it up. And here, Sega Rally is peerless. These courses were just built for gameplay, each being a perfect series of straights, chicanes, and hairpins that burn into your memory never to leave again. You'll get to know every pixel that each course is made up of, but I can attest to the fact that it can take a lifetime to master each one. There's always a superior approach to take, and you can always do something better. Watching those lap times get smaller and smaller is a reward in itself.
One medium left. Over jump. Let's watch. The key to victory on this cool course is patience. But as you know, only patience is not enough to win.
The audio is just iconic. Each and every track is a classic, and the arranged Saturn versions truly do blow the arcade tracks out of the water. My favourite has got to be Desert Replay. I can't tell you how long I've just spent watching the replay mode to listen to this track. It warms my heart. I'll never be the best Sega Rally player, and that's cool, because I really don't care about others' lap times or techniques. My Sega Rally Championship experience is my own. Hitting the time trials for hours is the greatest gaming pleasure I still have with any game. It challenges me and gives me all the things that I love. It's pure synesthesia, and I'd take it over every other game out there. Sega Rally Championship on the Saturn is easily my number one arcade racer of all time.
Finish!
I just wanted to thank you again for the support. All of the positivity has been quite overwhelming, and I hope it continues. I love this niche genre, and it's clear a lot of you out there do too. A special thanks to all the awesome indie developers out there that have been giving us what the big guys don't. You're keeping true arcade racing alive. Props to you all, and my sincerest thanks. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.